Hi, and welcome to Under the Skin podcast. Today we have the lovely Alex Sikiniotis, and she's going to talk today about how she uses a holistic approach to help men and women feel the very best version of themselves. Hi, Alex. Thank you for joining me on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, basically, I guess you'd call me a PT. But I also run mind body retreats, um, teach yoga, meditation, mindset, all that kind of stuff. And basically, it's kind of been a evolution of all the struggles in my life, I guess. Born in London to a Greek father and an Irish mother. My mother was born here in Belfast. My grandmother was born in Donegal.
Lovely mix.
Yeah. It's like the Mediterranean fire and the Celtic kind of mysticism. So a little bit crazy, one might say.
That's why you're so gorgeous.
Ah, you're very sweet. And I feel exactly the same as you. I'm like, she's so lovely looking.
Oh, what's so nice whenever we compliment each other, isn't it?
I
Feels really good.
I
It's
feel
great.
like I need
So,
I feel like I need some skincare
ah,
tips.
your skin's glowing.
Oh, thank you.
So, Alex, when did you start doing PT for people? Is that what you first started out doing? Or
My father was a personal trainer. My mother and my father separated when I was very young. So I was born in London, and I was born on a houseboat.
on a house?
On a houseboat. And my father, who was Greek, in his wisdom, decided to take the houseboat, which isn't supposed to leave the Thames, it's supposed to stay on the Thames,
Right.
out into the open water and sail through the Mediterranean back to Mykonos, which is where my family are from.
So you went from London to Mykonos
As a 9-month-old.
as a 9-month-old on your houseboat.
Yes. Fell overboard. Mum nearly lost me. She had to jump in the sea and retrieve me. I have a little scar on my face from where I
Are
hit
you
the deck
serious?
as I felt. Yeah, I was walking around at 9 months, so
Oh
I
my
just went
gosh.
straight off the edge.
I
My
have 5 babies and I can't imagine that.
Well, my mum had a very religious experience during that trip. She
Right.
basically said to God, if we get there in one piece and the child survives and I survive, I will become a Christian.
Right.
So
Okay.
that actually really kind of molded my childhood quite a lot. But when we got to Mykonos,
How long did it take? Do you know?
to get to Mykonos, I have no idea.
You never asked the parents?
I have no idea. I'm sure the trauma is still hidden in my cells somewhere. My mum was very traumatized by the whole thing.
Okay.
And then we got to Mykonos, and actually my father, again, very, very damaged individual, beautiful soul, but left us in Mykonos. My mum didn't speak Greek. We had no money. We lived in a little shack with a tin roof, and my mum had to go to my Greek relatives, learn Greek, and beg for food, basically. So it wasn't until my grandma sent her money for flights back that we actually left Greece about a year later.
A year later.
Yeah, and came back to London. My mom remarried, and eventually we moved to West Wales when I was 6. So I've got 4 siblings, all younger than me, same mum, different dad. Um,
Are you close?
yeah, really close, really close. I mean, there was only 10 years between all of us.
Oh.
So yeah, so we're I mean, I'm the half sister essentially, but
No.
it doesn't mean anything to me or to them. Okay, we look completely different.
When you
Like
grow up in the same house,
exactly,
that's all that matters.
exactly. Um, and yeah, by the time I was 17, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that went on. There was sexual abuse, there was all sorts of things. And I've been doing some research recently because I was actually sexually abused from the age of 3 to the age of 12 by a family member. And I've done a lot of research on teenage pregnancies. By the time I was 17, I was pregnant with my first love. Apparently, that's quite a high statistic for children that have been sexually abused.
Because you're so desensitized to those kind of actions, or what's the reason?
I'm not entirely sure what the reason is, but I do know that it's a statistic that correlates to sexual abuse. Now, listen, I was on the pill. I was in a very strong Christian environment, so we weren't supposed to be doing any of that kind of thing. It was very naughty. But he was my first love, and
And you're a teenager.
I was a teenager. I was 17. I mean, you know. Um, and yeah, so I had a child. I mean, I made the decision to keep her. I just knew that that was never an option for me, the alternative, even though a lot of my friends said that's what I should have done. And I think, me and her father split up quite soon after that.
How
And
old was she, your daughter?
less than one.
Yeah.
Less than one. And
I mean, you were very young.
really young. Really.
How did so you said your mom turned quite religious based on the fact that you were saved from going overboard.
Yes.
So she's still quite religious at this point?
She would call herself spiritual. I think I was just, I would say that it is it- I would say she's the most spiritual person I know, but there's a lot of religion intertwined
Okay. And how did
in that
she
whole
feel about you
thing.
having a child so young and out of wedlock?
Now
She's
listen,
accepted it?
her youngest child at the time was only 6 when I told her, and she was going through a divorce herself.
No.
So it was just a very traumatic time for
So you had a
all of us.
lot going on.
There
There
was
was
a
18 years old.
lot going on, a lot going on. And
And I know you've mentioned there that you were abused from the age of 3 until 12, and we've kind of just glossed over that.
yeah,
But had that had a significant effect on you? Were you able to tell anybody, or because you seem well adjusted for something?
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, the abuse that I faced wasn't as serious as some people face, but what it did do to me was really knock my sense of self, because you start to the person that did it was, I actually cared for them until the day that they died. So I think there comes a point where your reality becomes a bit skewed, and I didn't tell anybody until actually I got into a very abusive marriage and history repeated itself. So
So off the back of that, early pregnancy, and then you get into what age were you then when you married?
I was 25 when I got married.
So young enough.
Yeah, very young, very impressionable, very much part of a church that said no sex before marriage, and as long as they're Christian, you'll figure it out. But I think I knew from day dot that I was walking into something very dangerous. I just didn't understand what that meant.
And so your daughter would have been 7?
When I got married, she was 7,
She was
yes.
7.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, talk me through then. How long were you in this marriage for?
10 years. And it was
And
10 hard years, really hard. The problem is, in the church, the narrative is often, if there's an issue with the marriage, it's the woman's fault. So the woman is the spiritual thermometer of a relationship, and therefore, if there's probably something that's not quite right. Either you're not submitting to them in the right way, or
you're being difficult.
yes, it's the woman that kind of navigates the family dynamic, as it were, and the man is all authority. So yeah, it was a interesting time. I remember
How soon into the relationship did you?
I knew before I got married I shouldn't be doing it. In
So it
fact,
was-
the day of my wedding, he shouted up the stairs and called me a nasty name in front of my mother. And my mother went, "Really, Alex?" And at that point, I should have just gone, "We're not doing this." But we already had the thousands
on,
spent, the
yeah.
wedding dress. I knew. But I guess there was this other belief set in me, because I actually did feel like a strong, independent, empowered woman at that
But
point.
that's the problem,
Yes.
because then we put up with more than we ever should.
I thought I could love him into health. Biggest mistake.
You thought you could change him.
I thought I could
Help
love
him.
him into being a better human being. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes women make, is that they see potential and they don't see the reality.
Would it be safe to say, being in a relationship around that time myself for around 7 years. And deep down, after it should never have lasted that long.
Yeah.
Do you think, because for me, I've learned that it's from a lack of self-worth. I didn't realize until I was older that I did lack self-worth. I had self-confidence. I could stand up for myself. I was independent, strong. But there was a lack of self-worth because if I had self-worth, I wouldn't have stayed in the relationship as long as I did or let
Yes.
some of the things
Yeah.
be said or, that were said. But for me, I think you have self-worth and that you are enough
Yeah.
and that will be enough
Yeah.
to keep the relationship
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
and for it to get better.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the evolution of being a woman is that you realize that you are not responsible for the other person's growth. It takes two. For some reason, women take on all responsibility. And they think that if the relationship is not thriving, then somehow it's their fault. And sometimes it is. Sometimes, it takes two. It does take two. And I don't know if you've heard of Brené Brown.
Oh, yeah.
And she often talks about this 50-50 is a myth. You don't bring 50-50 to a relationship. Sometimes someone brings 10, sometimes someone brings 90. I mean, it is about growth. It's about being in
And
partnership.
if there's respect there, that's
Absolutely.
fine that someone needs to bring the 90 because the other one's only got the 10. But if the
Yes.
respect's not there and the imbalance is quite often the other person's constantly bringing the 90
Absolutely.
and the other person's only bringing the 10.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to not accept that.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, this is why a relationship has to be authentic because there are no rules. You have to love each other through the 90%, through the 10%, through the 50-50%. You know what I mean? It's not. There's
I
no.
remember feeling in at the end of one of my relationships, just crying on the bed, thinking, I am enough. I have to be enough. I have to be enough. And I just remember feeling like I was never enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and I think it's only been in the last 10 years that I have learned to say no. I'm enough even in my no's.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't have anything left to give.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm not doing it.
That doesn't suit me.
No, I can't. I have nothing left to give. So why would I give from a place of nothingness? And that has been the evolution of being being that person that thought I could fix everything and everyone.
So how did you come to the very difficult decision to end your marriage?
Well, the worst case scenario, I found out that he had done the unthinkable and next day called the police. And he was convicted. Eventually he was convicted. But that whole process was horrific. The trauma was horrific, not just for me, but for my children as well. I had a recently turned 16-year-old that was going through her GCSEs, and I had a 2-year-old that was still breastfeeding. I know it's a long time, but I was trying to be Mother Nature and all that. And it was horrific. And I went inwards. My eldest said that all she knew for the next 6 months was me crying in my bedroom, going to work, making a business work. I was left with, I was bringing in maybe £1,000 a month. So I was left to build a business out of nothing, basically, which is what I did. And I did do that. But everything else went to shit, basically, excuse my language, because my mom had to move over from England to come and support me because I was just trying to do everything as a newly single mom with the trauma of everything that I'd learned and court cases and a traumatized daughter and I think in that time it's just a bit of a blur. I got through it, but there was a lot of damage that remained. And really, the last 10 years of court cases and realizing that wasn't dealing with an individual that was going to play fair, that was going to be sorry, that was going to
Do you
see,
help healing?
try to help the healing process. Going through all of that actually taught me boundaries, and it taught me resilience, and it taught me more about my own wounds from childhood that I don't think I would have learned had I not gone through all of that. Now there were many there were many things along the way that I wish I'd done better. But actually, looking back now, for my children specifically, but looking back now, had we not all gone through that, I don't think we would be in the position that we are now, as a family, doing the things that we're doing, because it brought up past patterns that have been historical and generational, and the stuff that women just put up with generation after generation after generation, and sweep it under the
Just
carpet.
acceptance
Accept
and
it.
just keep quiet and just
Yeah,
keep moving forward. And yeah,
yeah. And just, it doesn't matter what happens to us. We just need to keep our head above the water, and that's not okay, because that's our children are watching what we're doing. If we are just surviving, that's the inheritance that we pass on to our children. And so really the last 10 years has taught me how to go from survival, which I have been probably since I was little, since we took that trip to Greece. My mom was in
it's
survival,
all you'd know.
all unknown. And I know that your story is similar in that regards, with regards to just going from one survival mode to the next survival
And when you're
situation.
younger, it's difficult because you go through your teens. You can be quite angry, I think, because you're not quite fully mature enough, and so there's a lot of kind of blaming, others for why your life is the way it is. And then in your twenties, you're vibrant and you just kind of want to forget about it and go and live your best life. And in your thirties, I think then triggers come in, and if you haven't dealt with past trauma,
Yeah,
you need to,
yeah,
have a bit of self-awareness and, go for me personally, counseling helped.
yeah,
Um, it did mean that I got into relationships with people who I wasn't best suited with and
yeah,
spent a lot of time. But as you say, it all forms part of our life. It's all our path. And if we learn from it, we get to a real good point. There's the sweet spot
yeah,
where you use all the pain,
yeah,
all the lessons,
yeah,
um, and then you just make sure that from here on in that life can only be the best that it can be, because we are learning our self-worth. We are setting those boundaries. Like, I didn't even know what boundaries really meant. If you asked me about boundaries before my 40s, I would have thought it was about telling a
not
child
a
to
clue.
have sweeties before dinner, or they can't watch TV past their bedtime. That's what I thought boundaries were, but it's not.
It's a very niche, like everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah.
6 years ago, they
But I still don't think people fully understand what a boundary
no,
means.
no, and actually, I was thinking about this today. Often I'm now seeing narcissists use the word boundary as just being totally selfish, and that's not what it is. A boundary is where you go, this is where I'm safe, and beyond that, I'm not safe any
I
longer.
call it protecting your peace.
Yeah,
It's about, when I left my last relationship because it just wasn't working.
yeah,
And I just decided, with everything that I've been through in life, and I don't have victim mentality, I've tried very hard to just, you know, make my life the best that it can be. But I just wanted peace. Just wanted peace. And I know that's maybe a luxury, to ask for, but I just wanted to make sure that the decisions I was making on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, that they were about protecting my peace. And that's, for me, is where boundaries is coming in, because I have found it very hard to
but
set and make boundaries.
why is peace a luxury?
I
It shouldn't be. It
I
should be the
suppose
foundation of
perspective.
everything, shouldn't it?
Well, I think for perspective, I think maybe I'm thinking, well, it's a luxury that, yes, I can have,
Yeah,
but maybe others can't. And I maybe feeling for those people and maybe
yeah.
feeling a little bit,
I think peace should be the normal.
yes,
I think the fact that and I agree, there was a moment where I thought peace and boredom would actually be a luxury right now.
yeah.
For a single mum having to work all hours God gave to make ends meet, to make sure my children had everything they needed, to keep a roof over our heads, and also to inspire other people. Like there were moments where I was like, my business is to inspire people, and I'm empty. That is really hard. And I think, you look and,
Would you
often,
say you're an empath? Because
yes.
that can be draining.
Yes, I am an empath, but yes, because the reason I stayed with my ex-husband for such a long time was I saw the wounded little boy in him, and I
We always
wanted,
excuse
yes, I wanted to help that part of him heal, because obviously it doesn't matter what anybody does. There's good and bad, there's light and dark in everybody, and I always, always found the light, always have done. And for me, it was a superpower, but it was also one of my greatest adversaries in that I would always give people the benefit of the doubt, even if they didn't deserve it.
So it's like a fine line. You know who you are. You have that light. You have that positivity. You have that energy. But to not use that and have to take a step back and have to exercise the more negative kind of emotions that we don't like doing, which is like saying no, being firm, not being as nice. I struggled with that.
Having the hard conversations.
Like, and it wasn't like I was being nice with people because I'm a people pleaser, because I'm certainly not that.
Yeah.
It was just because that's what was natural to me.
Yeah.
But as I've got older, I found that it's got easier, not easy, but it has got easier, like you say, to say, no, that
Yeah.
doesn't sit me, or,
Yeah.
in my head, I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to feel guilty about saying,
Yeah,
no.
absolutely. And the thing is, it's, you don't have to be a people pleaser to want to keep the peace. I think that's a good thing, to want to keep the peace, but you have to learn how to have the difficult conversations around that, provide that platform for peace, because suddenly if you're connecting with someone on a very real, authentic level, which you can't do if you're always saying yes. If you would just say yes to your child the whole time, they're going to turn into a little monster. That's not real.
And we have to take a bit of responsibility for that, because then we are part of the problem.
Yes.
So we can't blame other people for how they treat us, because we have opened the doors
Yeah.
for that very
Yeah.
much to be the case.
I have to say, my part to play in my marriage was, I'm an avoidant attachment style, absolutely 100%. If I don't have to have confrontation, I will not have confrontation. I've had to really work on
Having the difficult conversations and seeing it less as confrontation.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. And actually that's made me far more confident in myself. I mean, I've always been confident, but being incredibly honest with someone breeds a freedom and liberation that you
You're
just,
free to be who you really are.
and you can't do that if you're not having the conversations.
So you're
You're holding it
brought
all
this
inside.
into your work then. So all those
I'm
life lessons, you've brought this into your work. So what are you doing now with all of these very big life lessons?
Well, on a daily basis, I'm a PT. For me, strength starts in the body.
Yeah.
If your body's not strong, it's going to be a matter of time before you can only live off the strength of the mind until the body starts to disintegrate.
Yep.
So
Finding that out now in my perimenopausal stage.
Yeah. don't we know it when everything starts to shift? Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, for me now, empowerment is really about, are you getting the basics right? Are you eating properly? Are you building muscle? Are you resting? Are you sleeping? Are you drinking enough water?
Are you reducing stress?
All of these basics will automatically reduce stress. If you're not sleeping enough, you're going to be stressed. If you're not eating the right foods, you're going to be stressed. If you're not moving in the right way, you're going to be stressed.
One of the things I find the most, being a nurse and trying to be somewhat healthy throughout my lifestyle, although I still like the odd takeaway, is everyone goes on about gut biome, gut biome, gut biome, gut biome. But actually, it's everything.
Nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
But you know what? Your gut biome is intrinsically connected to your mental health.
Yep.
Your mental health is intrinsically connected to your nervous system regulation. And if you are over-exercising and undernourishing, which a lot of women do, loads of cardio, not enough calories.
Cortisol, muscle mass loss, bone issues.
Oh, but I'm super healthy because I go running on the treadmill for an hour a day.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that doesn't sound very healthy to me. And it isn't,
But
because
that's the way it was portrayed for so long.
yes,
For years, when you got older, it was about being fit and skinny.
yeah,
Now it's about being strong.
yeah. It should have always been about being
Yeah,
strong.
but it wasn't.
No, because as women, we were taught to shrink.
Yeah.
We were taught to be small. Smaller is better.
Mind and in
Yeah.
body.
As long as you've got a tiny waist and big boobs and big hips, then, the world's your oyster, because that's all a woman is worth, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's what she looks like. And obviously, we have to, as a personal trainer, I have to be really careful with how I deal with women, because it doesn't matter who I'm working with. It doesn't matter how confident they are. It doesn't matter what they look like. This narrative is so deeply integrated into our belief systems that I feel like we're in an age now where we need people to help us unlearn.
Yeah.
It's the unlearning.
And as I say, I've said it before in other podcasts, the power of social media, it is so toxic because of the big boobs, the skinny waist. They're all edited. Like
Yeah.
these women, if they were sitting right here in the couch beside me, do not look like how they look on social media. But then also, it's a powerful tool for trying to undo the misinformation that's being spread and to inform women about the important information, the most
Yeah.
up-to-date evidence
Yeah.
that's out there of how they look
Absolutely.
after their bodies.
Absolutely.
You are doing a yoga retreat. I was on your social media page. I've had a little nosy. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's not
I'm
really,
very interested.
it's not a yoga retreat as such. It's
No?
more a wellness
Wellness.
retreat,
Yeah.
because it's not just about yoga. For me, yoga is just one tool.
Yeah.
Like meditation is one tool. Like it's really about, like my whole work is, it's about bringing together all the different tools, all the different modalities, all the different kinds of coaches into a situation where you can just stop for a week, move your body well if you want to, eat well, be in the sunshine, which is so good for you, as we all know. That's why we all want to go to the sunny climes, because we've demonized the sun for
Where
such
is
a
this
long time.
wellness retreat?
In Greece.
Of course.
I mean, I've been doing wellness retreats now for 10 years, and th- based in Ibiza. My best friend started these, or one of my best friends started the wellness retreats in Ibiza, and we're on our third year. So I've partnered with her, and we're on our third year in Greece. But I've done lots of little boutique retreats. My daughter now, who's 27, has just done her own retreat in Morocco, which I was very blessed to go on. And so it's just really interesting to see the evolution of what we've gone through as a family. And she, I often say, she's not my mini me. She's the evolution of who I am, which is incredible to see, because she is going to be so much better and so much more confident and so much more equipped.
With a mum like you, are you surprised?
Well, you know what? That's very sweet. But my kids could probably point out a lot of faults if you gave them the microphone.
Well, that's their job, isn't it? They keep us grounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when is this wellness retreat?
Wellness retreat, 21st to 28th of September in Greece.
And whereabouts in Greece is it?
It's on the coast, right opposite the island of Hydra. And Hydra is this magical island because they don't allow any transport on it. So it's like where where the beauty is in the detail. You just have to, you have to be still.
Okay.
You can't move. And it's actually, so it's a 2-hour ferry ride from the port. So we're actually in the middle of nowhere. And for me, because a lot of people have said, could you not have just run it somewhere that was a bit closer to the airport? I'm like, no, I needed it to be far away.
Yeah, that's
from
the whole
everything.
point, isn't it? For people to really be able to switch off.
Yeah, far away from everything. And we're really close to the classical healing center or the healing center of the classical world, which was Epidaurus, where Socrates taught, and it was basically the birthplace of modern medicine. But they obviously treated people holistically back then, because that's all they had. And we're right next to that. So,
and how many people are going to this? What
so far we've got about 100 people.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
I would like to have 300 though. That's my manifesting 300. In Ibiza, we have had 600, and that might.
So is there enough room on this wee island
Yes.
for
It's not an island. It looks over onto the island, but we're still in the middle of nowhere in this
okay, you
big
just have to
hotel.
get a boat to it then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So we're in a gorgeous 5-star hotel, and yes, there's room. In Ibiza, we have hit 600 before. We have a lot of coaches coming, a lot of people that
What
do a
can they
lot of
expect at this retreat?
yoga, meditation, dance, Pilates, boot camps, martial arts, life coaching, hormone coaching. What am I doing? I'm talking about nutrition. So I'm a holistic nutritionist as well. So I'll be talking about nervous system regulation, gut health. I've got some coaches for hormone specialists. I've got a couple of doctors coming. So they'll be talking about health from a medical point of view, but we will be all be we've got a panel for social media. How do you navigate social media in this crazy? This is a new thing for all of us. So again, social media is a massive part of our life. How do you navigate that as a parent? How do you navigate that as a influencer? How do you navigate that as a business owner without getting drawn into the crazy that we were talking about
So
previously?
your daughter's 27, so my son's 23, and so he just about missed, the toxic nature of social media. Your daughter obviously would have missed that
She missed
too.
that, but I
What
have
about
a
your younger
third
daughter?
nightmare.
What age is she now?
She's 13.
And
And since lockdown came and she was just in front of a screen. She was doing all her schooling in front of a screen. She was doing, and I have not been able to navigate this. I'm the first person to put my hands up and say, I do not know how to navigate this new era for a 13-year-old in social media because it feels beyond me.
I think it should just be banned. It should just
Till 18.
until
Yeah.
18 minimum.
Yeah. Smartphones should be banned.
Yeah. I mean, I have 7 and 9-year-old daughters, and for contact and safety only, they'll be getting flip phones where they
Yeah.
can text or make a phone call
Yeah.
when the time comes and not a minute beforehand.
I applaud you. I think
And
that
we've tried to tell them why, in a child-friendly version and to
Yeah.
prepare them for it. And we've told them that although they're on board with it now, when they get to, first year, they're going to fight us with it and they're going to argue with me about it. But they have to remember it's about me trying to keep them safe. So we'll see how that goes.
I know some parents that have managed it up until first year,
I don't know.
but it's hard work. It's hard
I'm
work.
just going to ask you a couple of questions here, just in
Yeah.
case any of the viewers or maybe being in any of the similar situations that you've been in yourself, and for you maybe to give some advice. So if someone listening feels stuck and is in an unhappy relationship or an abusive relationship and is considering divorce or separation, what honest advice would you want them to hear from you today?
I think, first of all, you have to realize that divorce is hard. It's really hard. It comes with many, many issues, and people can often turn incredibly nasty. So, first point of call is the relationship worth saving? And if so, have you done everything necessary to try and save it? If it's not, then you need a good support system around you. So you need to be really honest with people. You need that support. And what I would say, I guess from a spiritual point of view, you have to believe that it's going to be okay. You have to take one day at a time, and you have to take the steps necessary. For me, when I was in the darkest of the darkest place, my mantra was one day at a time.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to make my mortgage every month. I didn't know if my business was going to be successful. I didn't know if my children were going to be okay. But with the mantra, one day at a time, it broke it down into manageable moments.
Yeah.
Because
And I think it
otherwise,
can reduce the feeling of overwhelmness.
yeah,
When I was going through my separation, I think for me the hardest part is the days when the doubt creeps in. Are you doing the right thing? Because it's so hard.
yeah,
And I think it gets easier once you decide and you've committed to it, and right, okay, this chapter's ending.
yeah,
But it's a different kind of hard when you're going through it.
yes,
But for me, the going through it was definitely less difficult than the leading up to and having to make the decision to do it, because I find that incredibly complex. and I
Yeah.
struggled with that. And I just kept telling myself it can only get better.
There's a beautiful scripture that says a double-minded man won't get his his prayers answered. And what I take from that is when you have one foot in one camp and one foot in another camp, if you haven't made a decision, you are going to be constantly in this gut-wrenching limbo.
Yeah.
So I think what a lot of women struggle with, and I certainly have, even since the divorce, is learning to trust their own intuition.
Yeah.
Because my question has always been, is this my intuition or is it my wound?
Yeah.
And I think you have to learn to go, if this feels wrong, it's probably wrong.
Yeah.
And just make the decision.
Because as hard as it is, it can only get better.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation that's not right for you, just do the hard thing and just know that it can only get better. That's what I would say from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more question. Looking back now, what are you most proud of about how you came through that chapter of your life? And how has it helped you help others?
I think what I'm most proud of was keeping the faith, as in reminding myself on a daily basis that it was going to be okay. And the resilience and the freedom that created in choosing to believe that me and my children were going to be okay over the negative stories. And because obviously it's much easier to believe the negative, it's much easier to believe the conditioning and the experiences that have taught you that perhaps things don't work out. But I just had this overwhelming sense that I was going to be okay. I was looked after. I'm a very spiritual person. And I think I tapped into that on a daily basis, whether it was through meditation, whether it was through talking to a friend, whether it was through having a good cry, whether it was through just going and screaming into a pillow. It was that sense of, I need to get back to that place where I know that it's going to be okay, that place of peace amongst the crazy.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to bring myself back to that place of peace. And I have to say, probably my practice of meditation has helped me do that, because it's the breathing, it's the breath work, it's slowing the nervous system down. And that kind of helps you to feel like you've connected back into something divine within yourself that can conquer anything.
You know what? Everyone talks about manifestation. It's a massive buzzword, manifest, manifest, manifest. And I didn't realize until I started listening to, a few TED Talks, a few, well-known speakers, that I had been doing that by simply doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't in an act of desperation, I need to get that job, or I need this to work out, or, I'm manifesting. It was very much me genuinely believing to the core, everything's going to be fine.
Yes.
Just keep doing your best, Tanya. You're worthy.
Yeah.
You're a good person.
Yeah.
I'm not religious, but I believe in the universe.
Yeah.
I believe in right and I believe in wrong. I believe in good and I believe in bad. I've not always been perfect and I've made mistakes, but I try to learn from them.
Yeah.
And I am ultimately, to the core, I believe, a good person.
Yeah.
And so therefore I always knew things would work out.
Yeah.
And that was how I was manifesting without realizing I was manifesting
absolutely.
the happy, peaceful life that I have now.
So whatever energy you turn up in, the universe will reflect back at you.
Yeah. Because at the times where I was in those relationships, there was a lot of chaos going on. I had a chaotic energy.
Yeah.
I was struggling to find out who I was, and with no real role models in my life. And, but, I look back at that all now and I don't think anything negative about it. I just think that's part of my story. And there were some real funny times and funny stories.
Learning how to regulate.
Yeah.
How can you learn to regulate if you haven't been dysregulated?
Or if you never seen other people
Exactly.
regulating themselves.
Absolutely. And I think this is the thing. It's about energy. at the end of the day, it's about energy. The more you believe something about yourself, the more real that becomes around you, because everything starts to work through those filters. If your filters are, I'm ugly, I'm unworthy, that reflects back at you. That's all you see reflecting back at you.
It has a knock-on effect then on the ongoings in your life and what presents. It's like this podcast. It was an idea for, I would say, a couple of years. I didn't really know how to go about doing it, or how best to get it across why I was doing it, because everyone's doing a podcast, right? And you think it's for social media or it's to advance their business. But for me, it's because of everything that I've been through and the conversations that I have with my patients. And I just thought, God, if I could record these conversations and let other people hear them, it could help a lot of other people. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to do it. And so the energy has, it's been there. It's been a little seed, and through talking it through with other people, other important people who've been incredibly supportive, here we are today.
Yeah.
And we've had, my son has come on and hopefully has helped some young man with his mental health, and a young woman with breast cancer survivor hopefully has helped just one woman get a check. A guest on who had very early menopause. If we can just use that energy in our lives to do good, it comes back to you.
Well, talking is the ultimate feminine superpower.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And actually, it's probably why men's mental health is so much poorer than women's, because they don't.
Yeah.
So, podcasts for me were, I didn't go to therapy. I listened to other people's stories of hope. I
It is a
listened,
form of therapy.
yeah, I listened to other people's stories of succeeding against the odds. I love an underdog. I love it. Like it's it lights everything up inside of me, because it's just like, do you know what? There are no rules. All there is authenticity. All there is connection. And until you open your mouth and speak your truth, there is no connection.
And connection's everything.
Yeah,
Because who wants to be lonely?
exactly.
We can have friends, or you can be in a relationship and you can be incredibly lonely.
Exactly. We're wired for connection, and yet we're so disconnected as a society. If you look back, we were designed to be tribal beings.
Yep.
We weren't designed to live in individual houses and have individual this, that, and the other. And so our human brain is trying to make sense of all of this modern world.
Especially women today.
Yeah.
They would rather be at home watching, binge watching their TV or on the phone with their girlfriends than going on a date with a guy who's just going to be a big fat disappointment.
Yeah.
Because they haven't, not meaning to generalize, but they're not willing to step up.
No. Did you know when women's mental health hit an all-time low historically?
No.
With the invention of the washing machine. Because previous to that, they would all gather and do their washing together.
Oh, that's interesting.
And talk.
I'm definitely not going back to it.
We love washing machines.
We're with me and my husband. We hope to build our own home, and I want 2 washing machines, a light and dark sun at the same time.
But this comes back to the nature of trying to find our true nature in a modern world that's not made for human beings. So, we've stopped moving. Women used to wash clothes. Women used to gather wood all the time. We wouldn't have needed, all these diseases that we now have, mental, physical. Like most women, our physical diseases come from a lack of movement.
Yeah, that sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle.
Not just the physical, but the mental aspect. The cogs aren't turning as much. That mundaneness.
Yeah. We just don't walk. We're supposed to walk every day. We don't walk. When I get my clients, I say, are you hitting your 10,000? Because that differentiates you from being sedentary and actually being active. Regardless of whether you're doing workouts or not, are you hitting 10,000 steps a day? That's where all the health benefits are.
Will there be lots of walking on your wellness retreat?
Well, the actual hotel is vast. It's like a botanical gardens. So from the actual cabins and rooms to everywhere else, I think people are going to get their 10,000 steps in quite easily.
Well, I will actually post a link to your page so the viewers can go on to your page. And will you have the link in your bio for Yes Wellness Retreat?
Yes.
And they can check that out and maybe we'll see a few of our viewers there.
Yep.
Listen, thank you so much, Alex. This has been a really lovely conversation. And I just really hope that there's a space left for me on your retreat.
Ah, always. It's been
Thank
really
you.
lovely. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Bye bye.